What's up, y'all? Drama here with another review, this time for Infinite Beyond the Mind from Blowfish Studios and Emilie Coyo. So this game is called a retro action platformer, and you look at it and it's like, yeah, that kind of has a Super Nintendo style feel to it as we look through some of the tutorial here. Well, it's not just the visual style that's retro. For a while, the game seems like it's relatively simple. Fun. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my time, especially early on with it. But it goes from fun and relatively easy, but not like super easy, to, oh my gosh, this is almost face melting hard towards the end. If you watched my streams, my time was just under 4 hours completing it. It took me an hour approximately to beat the final level. One level. Now, that's not saying it can't be beaten faster, because I'm certain it can. But it's something to be aware of if you're looking to get this. That, this is not going to be a walk in the park like the videos you're watching might suggest. It just isn't. It may start out that way the first half of the game, maybe. First third of the game. Pretty simple. And the mechanics don't change. It's not like the mechanics change and it becomes something different than what it was. No, it's just everything needs to be more precise. There's more enemies. There's different types of enemies. Things of that nature. So, something to be prepared for. Now, with that out of the way, I want to say two things about the game before I go any further. I love the art style. And the music. We're going to count the music and art style as one. And it is a fun game. Full stop. That said, like I said, it's a tough game. So if you don't want to deal with, it's not ghouls and goblins, but it's tough. If you don't want to deal with that, this probably isn't the game for you then. But, that said, similar to Dark Souls, and the game isn't anything like Dark Souls, but similar to Dark Souls, where when you do something, it's like, oh, this is amazing. You get kind of the same feeling on some of the bosses, and unfortunately, on some of the levels with this game as well. And I say unfortunately with some of the levels because, honestly, some of the levels felt kind of unfair. Nothing early in the game, and nothing really even the first half of the game. But towards the end, there was a couple of levels that just really didn't quite feel balanced right. And that held over to the bosses tied to those levels, unfortunately. Especially the second to last boss. Oh my word, that one was brutal. But, that said, beating that boss was awesome. It was like, oh, finally, praise the Lord, right? So, something to keep in mind. Honestly, there's not a whole lot more to say. Fun game. Love the soundtrack. Love the art style. Game is very difficult. Sometimes kind of cheap. But it works. And that's important. It's not cheap because the game doesn't work. The game does work, but sometimes keeping track of everything can be difficult, even though there's not a lot to keep track of, which is kind of weird to say, but that's just how it is to me. So, trophy-wise, if we look at those, this is a game that is going to be rough to plat. There is a plat, so that's cool, but you have to beat the game minimum of 3 times. And you have to beat the game on all 3 difficulties. They do not stack. I don't know why they don't stack, but they don't. An expert is going to be brutal, because while there's a continue feature, it starts you back at the very beginning of the game, making that continue feature, in my opinion, completely pointless. I just don't see the benefit of it. Why continue if you're going to start at the beginning of the game? Who knows? There's also co-op, which probably would make it simpler. It's local co-op though, so couch co-op, you got to have somebody around who can play and get through the stuff to help you. Otherwise, it's not going to be of any benefit. I do like the bosses, except for the second to last boss, basically, in that they're varied, and it's a matter of learning how they attack and going from there. And then you do get 3 upgrades as well. The upgrades really don't do a ton to change anything, but they make you a little more powerful and make your attacks look cooler. So whatever, that's cool. Final verdict: if you're into hard platformers and feel like playing something that looks like a Super Nintendo game intentionally, this is the game for you. If you don't think you can deal with a really difficult platformer, maybe something you want to skip. I enjoyed my time with it, although I don't think I'll ever be able to get the plat. So take that how you will. Over and out.